Bosses, when did your worst employee become your best hire? I was ready to fire Dennis after his 3rd month at the warehouse. He showed up late almost every single day with some excuse about traffic or his alarm or his cat. His desk was a disaster zone covered in sticky notes and random papers that made no sense to anyone but him. He never followed the scheduling system I spent weeks implementing and instead kept everything in a beaten-up notebook he carried everywhere. Every time I tried to talk to him about procedure, he would nod and say he understood, but then go right back to doing things his own chaotic way. I started documenting everything to build a case for termination because this guy was clearly not cut out for logistics management. My assistant kept telling me to give him more time, but I had seen enough. Dennis was disorganized, unreliable, and seemed completely incapable of following basic instructions. The breaking point came on a Thursday morning when our biggest client called in a panic. They needed an emergency shipment of medical supplies to 3 different hospitals by noon the next day. It was already 10 a.m., and coordinating that kind of complex delivery on such short notice was nearly impossible. I called an emergency meeting with my team and started pulling up our routing software to figure out how to make this work. Everyone was scrambling, pulling up spreadsheets and databases, trying to calculate delivery windows and driver availability. Dennis walked in 20 minutes late with coffee stains on his shirt. I was about to lose it on him right there in front of everyone, but he sat down, opened that stupid notebook, and started writing. I ignored him and kept working with the team. We spent 2 hours trying to map out a solution, but kept hitting dead ends. Either we did not have enough drivers available, or the routes would not work with the time constraints, or the warehouse inventory was not where we needed it to be. Dennis finally spoke up and said he could have it done by 8 a.m. the next morning. Everyone stopped and stared at him. I asked him what he was talking about. He flipped through his notebook and started rattling off information. Driver availability that was not in our system. Warehouse inventory locations that were not documented anywhere official. Alternate routes that avoided construction zones our GPS software did not know about yet. He had everything mapped out in his head and that notebook. I asked him how he knew all of this, and he shrugged and said he had been tracking everything manually for months because our system kept missing things. Every time he showed up late, it was because he was checking on deliveries that were running behind. Every sticky note on his desk was a workaround for problems in our logistics software. That chaotic notebook was actually a detailed backup system he had been building because he noticed our digital records were incomplete and unreliable. I told him to prove it. He spent the next 3 hours on the phone coordinating everything without using our official system once. He called drivers directly using personal cell numbers he had collected. He rerouted shipments based on real-time traffic information he had been monitoring. He pulled inventory from locations that were not even supposed to exist in our database, but he knew about because he had walked the warehouse and mapped everything himself. By 6 p.m., he had the entire emergency delivery plan down to the minute with backup plans for every possible complication. I watched him work and realized everything I thought was incompetence was actually him compensating for failures in the system I was so proud of. He was late because he was fixing problems before they became disasters. He was disorganized because he was juggling 10 different workarounds at once. He ignored my scheduling system because he had already identified that it was missing critical data. The delivery went perfectly. Every shipment arrived early. The client was so impressed, they doubled their contract with us. When I asked Dennis why he never told me what he was doing, he said he tried to bring up system issues in his first week, but I shut him down and told him to just follow procedure. So he followed procedure in front of me and fixed everything behind the scenes on his own time. He thought that was what I wanted. I felt about 2 inches tall. I apologized and asked him what he needed to do his job better. He said he needed authority to update our systems and hire 2 more people to help him track everything properly. I gave him a promotion to operations director on the spot.